Hello, my angels, and welcome. How are we all? I hope we are all well. This is going to be a quick one, but it is going to be an informative one. We're going to be talking about triggers, what a trigger is, what to do when you're triggered, and all that good stuff. So get yourself comfortable, grab yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and let's get stuck into it. So first of all, what is a trigger? A trigger is an emotional response to something or someone. So when you're feeling stressed out or anxious, or you're not feeling good enough, or you feel sad or frustrated, and it comes out in quite a high level, it's something that really winds you up. Now, I think it's really important to understand that, first of all, this is completely normal. It's completely normal to have a variation of emotions. It isn't possible for us, I don't care what anybody says, it isn't possible for us to be in this happy, positive place all the time. And that is okay. It's okay to feel whatever it is that you are feeling. It is part of our human existence. I don't care what anyone says. I do so much mindset work. I do so much work dealing with emotions and triggers. And it is toxic positivity to say that we need to be happy and positive all the time and the glass is always half full. Well, at times we feel like it's not, and that's okay to feel that way. It's about accepting, acknowledging it, and understanding why it is. I think that is the most important part, is understanding what it is that is triggering you and how we can deal with those triggers. I often talk about, the duality of life, how there's the light and the dark, and how there's happy and there's sad, because we have this in emotions. If you look in every aspect of life, there is the light and the dark. There are a duality of things. There is the opposites, right? Masculine and feminine energies. And we have this within our emotions. So in order to get to the more positive emotions, we have to learn how to flow through and feel the more negative ones, right? We have to allow ourselves to be in that place. Not every day has to be a incredible day. There are some days where you just have to get through the day, and that is all right. It is okay to feel like that, but we don't want to stay in it for too long. We have to learn how to go into that flow of the duality, that yin and yang, right? Of flowing through those emotions and through the duality of those two-sided things. And so when you are triggered, it's all right to feel that way. Know that it's all right to feel that way. So often as children, depending on how you were brought up, but so often we're told not to cry, even as adults, right? Don't cry, don't cry, don't get upset. It's okay, don't get upset. If you need to, we always say you got to feel it to heal it. If you need to get angry, create a space that is safe. Create an environment that is okay for you to feel your emotions, whether that be somewhere in your house, whether that be, if you're someone spiritual, you can set up an altar. If you're somebody who likes to meditate, find a space within your home that is quiet, or a place where you can go for a walk and you can let out your emotions when no one's going to see you or hear you. Or if you're comfortable with it, so what if people see you or hear you, right? It's all right to do that, but you have to feel safe and feel like you're in an environment where you can fully let those things go. Because the thing is, when we feel these triggers, if we don't allow ourselves to fully feel them, they don't go away. They stay within our body. Just because you've decided to ignore it doesn't mean that it's no longer there. It's just been pushed down and tucked down, and it ends up coming out in other ways. You'll end up exploding at the wrong person, or you will end up breaking down when you don't want to, or worst case scenario, it builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up, and then you really do have a breakdown and you feel extreme emotions of depression and anxiety. So it is important that when we start to notice our triggers, that we do really notice them and we do become aware and allow ourselves to feel them. And if we can't feel them in that moment, then making sure that later on in the day or later on in the week or whenever is right for you, that we actually process whatever it is that we are experiencing so we can move forward from it, so it doesn't stay within our bodies. The thing is with emotions is that they do store within your body and they'll come out in other ways. Have you ever had a job that has caused a lot of stress for you? You may be working with people that you don't get along with or don't like, or there may be a certain situation at work, you're in this environment every day and it builds up and builds up and builds up, and then eventually you end up getting really unwell. You end up getting headaches, or you'll get a cold, or you'll get ill, or your skin will start to get bad. When we suppress our emotions, they start to come out in a physical form, and it's different for everybody. Everyone will feel it in a different way. I notice for me, it's my voice, right? I'll start to lose my voice if I feel too stressed. It's the first physical symptom for me. But we have to catch it earlier than that, right? I talk about this because I know this. I talk about this because I've experienced this. I've been one of those people in the past where I would suppress things. So I'm not saying this to ram it down your throat, like, you gotta feel your emotions. I'm saying it because I know how it feels not to. I know how it feels to tuck everything away and then eventually break down and really, really break down and not know which way that we're going. And if you are at that point, it's okay. You can still come back from it. It's okay if you have suppressed those things. We can still remove those emotions, or not remove, but we can still allow ourselves to feel those emotions. Yes, they feel heavier, but once you have felt it, feel it, heal it, you do heal it. Once you have felt it, it doesn't last very long. Have you ever had like a good cry and afterwards you're like, wow, I feel so much better? Or you had a good rant to one of your friends and you feel so much better afterwards because you've allowed yourself to acknowledge how you're feeling and allowed yourself to let it go and let it out. So it's recognizing that you're triggered. And if you can recognize it early enough, like that little thing within you that's like, oh, this is really pissing me off, and if you can, or really upsetting me, if you can recognize it early enough and find a safe place early enough to feel it, then do so. In other moments where it builds up and builds up, there are different techniques that you can use. Now, triggers can come from places such as trauma. They can come from really, really heavy things, not just the day-to-day stresses of life. And so there are things that we can do to remove, I say remove, to feel those emotions in order to get into that, the other side of duality, right? And if you check out my website, you'll see that there are loads of different tools there. I talk about mindset work a lot. I talk about healing a lot. And there is definitely things over there, free and paid for things that you can find that will help you through those triggers and understanding not just what a trigger is, but how to actually deal with it. So definitely go check that out. But as we're here and we're talking about all this stuff, let's go into a bit deeper into a trigger. So a lot of the time when you are triggered, you are not actually triggered with what is going on in that moment. That isn't usually the root cause. It can be, right? So say you are going through a breakup and you're heartbroken and you are feeling all these emotions, and this person said something to you, your ex has said something to you, and it has really triggered you into anger or upset. Now, of course, some of those triggers will be because you are experiencing a breakup and you're experiencing heartbreak. But there can be moments where someone will say something to you that triggers you, and it's actually causing an emotional response from another place. So from a previous experience. So, you know, someone might say something to you and you go, I don't know why, but that's really wound me up. You don't know why, because the reason why is tucked away in your subconscious. Definitely worth going and having a look back at some of my other videos where I talk about the subconscious mind and how to change your mindset, as I explain it a lot deeper there. But the subconscious mind is 95% of your mind where all your memories are. It's your giant memory bank. Now, when somebody, this is just an example, but when something triggers us, say someone, for example, somebody says something to you and it causes that emotional response, you have to ask yourself, am I actually annoyed with them and what they've said? Or is this coming from somewhere else? Is this making me feel, just for an example, is this making me feel not good enough? Okay, why do I not feel good enough? Because if you know deep in yourself, you know within yourself that you are good enough, it wouldn't trigger that, right? I heard somebody say, oh, that person shouldn't push my button. I told them not to push my button and they pushed it. The problem's with you because you have the button. If you didn't have the button there, they couldn't press it, right? So we have to see, okay, is this actually coming from another place? Do I not feel good enough because of something I had been constantly told when I was in my teenage years, that I was bullied or that I was, and it can come from one memory that somebody said something to you when you were younger and it stuck. And that's in your subconscious. You believe it to be true, whether you think so or not, it's in your subconscious. And now the events and the things that are happening in your life are triggering. They're triggering this past experience that you had. And it's like your mind is like proving you right. Your mind is always going to constantly try and prove you right. So it's like, oh yeah, they're right, because in my past, this is how I felt. And it's going to make you feel however you felt in that moment when that was first created, when the experience that is actually the problem in the subconscious, I hope this is making sense, when the experience that is actually the problem is being poked at, right? If you're not feeling good enough and it's coming from somewhere, coming from a past experience, when somebody says something to you now, it's like poking the bear. You're poking on that past experience, which is then causing a trigger. So we have to take a step back and say to ourselves, okay, what is this bringing up for me? And, almost 100% of the time, like 99.9% of the time, the triggers that we have now are from our past experiences. So what can we do to let go of whatever it is that we've been through? What is it that we can say, okay, I understand that it's making me feel this way because of XYZ, because I've always been told that I'm not good at this or I'm not good at that or whatever it may be. And it's now bringing up that anger. And now as a child, or even as a young adult, or even as an adult, if we're not taught how to deal with our triggers in the moment, we will suppress them. They will go, we store the emotions, that memory will go into our subconscious mind, and we haven't dealt with it, right? So say like you are experiencing a breakup and it is triggering past experiences, it's also creating beliefs right now that are making you feel however it is you're feeling, that heartbroken feeling, whatever it is bringing up for you. And so if we don't deal with them in the moment, again, we're just going to suppress them. And later on in life, they're going to be triggered again. That bear is going to be poked again and again and again and again until we deal with it, until we say, okay, I don't want this to be my story. I don't want to be affected by these things anymore. And I decide different. I'm not saying that it's never going to hurt. I'm not saying that you're not ever going to feel those things. Of course you are. Like I said at the beginning, it's normal to have all these emotions. We have all these emotions for a reason. They weren't just plucked out of thin air. We have these emotions so we can experience all things in life, so we can really appreciate certain feelings and certain experiences, right? And so the way that we deal with that trigger is we ask ourselves, is this a response of what is happening in my life right now? Or is this a response from a past experience and it's bringing something up for me? And I tell you what, it's a game changer, because when you look at things like that, you can take a silver lining from it. And I do talk about toxic positivity and how, sometimes things aren't positive and it's okay to just let things go and not have to find a silver lining. But there are moments when we can really take a lot from a situation by just saying, okay, there's something going on in my life right now. A lot of things are changing. They're making me feel angry or upset or sad, frustrated, whatever it may be. And what is this connected to? How is this making me feel about myself? How is this making me view myself? And if you ask yourself that question, you can then understand what it is that you are telling yourself constantly, right? So I use that example as a breakup. If you've gone through a breakup or you've gone through being fired from a job, what is it bringing up for you? Is it bringing up this feeling of, no matter what I do, it's never good enough? Okay, great. So then, if that's what it's bringing up for you, no matter what I do, I'm never good enough, it is time to work on that. Because that is a belief that is deep in your subconscious that needs to be worked on for you to go to the next level of your life. For the things that you actually want to achieve and the things that you want to do, you can't have that mindset there. You can't have that mindset where you are going, where the universe is taking you. So when you are having this downfall and your life is crashing down, ask yourself, what is it making me tell myself? Is it making me tell myself that no matter what I do, it's never good enough, or I will never be good enough for other people, or loads of people judge me, or nobody likes me? Whatever it is, that is just a belief that you are telling yourself, and it's bringing it up now because it's time to change it. And the way that we change it is we become aware of it and we heal whatever is surrounding it, which is why healing, talking, letting things out is so important, because that's how we do it. We understand our mind and what is going on in our mind and what we're telling ourselves. We're constantly telling ourselves these stories about who we are or what other people think of us. So if we can actually, and a lot of time that's subconscious, right? We don't even realize we're doing it. 95% is of what you think. We have like something crazy, like 10,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of them, you don't even realize you're having them. So it's recognizing the story that you are continuously telling yourself so you can change it, and you can feel those emotions, let out those emotions, let go of the past and your experiences, and start embedding new beliefs into your mind and start telling yourself a better story that is going to take you further, that is going to benefit you in the room that the universe has for you to go into next. But you can't go into that room. You can't go into the next path that the universe has for you because you're constantly telling yourself something that doesn't match that room, right? You're telling yourself these beliefs and you're getting triggered and angry. But it's time to deal with those things so we can go into the next space of our life. And so that's how we deal with our triggers. We recognize them, we feel our emotions, and we start to understand why we feel that way so we can create a new narrative. And I'm not saying that it's always easy. There are techniques we can do where we can change our mindset really quickly and we can change specific beliefs very quickly. If you're interested in this, you can book a healing session with me on my website, and we can reframe those belief systems quite quickly. And there are other times where they might take a little bit longer. It depends what it is that we're working through, right? So other times we might have to go through the mind to find the root cause of why it is you're feeling this way. But it is possible. We're just not taught how to do it. We're not taught how to deal with our emotions. But the moment you believe that it is possible for you to get through the trigger, it's possible for you to change your mindset, then it will be. Because your mind is extremely powerful. It will believe whatever you continuously tell it. So start telling it things and understanding your mind more, why it thinks that way, and start telling it things that is actually going to benefit you. It's okay to feel that frustration. It's okay to feel that anger, but it's not okay to stay there. You can't help what has happened to you, but you can help how you act and how you react moving forward. Anyway, that is today. I hope you have enjoyed that video. Lots of love and light to you, my darlings. I can hear the little one waking up. So I'm going to leave this here and I will see you in the next one.